Hello there, dear guys and girls. Welcome back to the channel again. Um, Courage, you've seen the title. Courage is something that is so huge, it is so powerful, and it is something that we fear the most. Now, if I just look back at my spiritual teachers that I just love studying, a quote that comes to mind is by the late and great Dr. Maya Angelou. And she says, courage is the most important virtue because without courage, we can never practice any other virtue consistently. So this is so true. This is so true, especially when dealing with toxic relationships, when being discarded, when having the courage to end a toxic relationship. And to just give you the Wikipedia definition of courage, it says here the choice and willingness to confront agony, pain, danger, uncertainty, or intimidation. Now, isn't this something that we all have to deal with when being in toxic relationships? But the thing that we fear most is having that courage. And because we, in some part of our brain, when we call on our intuition, we know that having courage is what is going to get us out of bad situations, toxic relationships, and is going to ultimately free us, or that is when we can truly experience the essence of freedom. Um, Fear, of course, as I just mentioned, fear and courage go together really. Fear is the body's natural response to the brain's flight, fright, or freeze response. Now, what your brain does is send cortisol, that is a stress-inducing hormone, is sent to the body's nervous system. And this is when we feel that fear, we either take flight, we run away from it, we freeze, we don't know what to do, or we fight against it, we try and resist it. Now, this is a natural response, and fear is also learned behavior. We are taught fear because when a child is born, when a child is growing up, we do not have that fear. Um, it is not something that is part of us, naturally part of us, but we do develop it as we age and as we go on life's path. Um, that is one of the reasons why we have to warn children. So fear can also be good because fear can also warn you of danger. So what would a young child do? They will put their hands on a heater, or they will touch a hot stove, or because they do not know fear. And when they have learnt that by touching a hot stove, you burn yourself, it sends cortisol to your nervous system. And this is what puts us in emotional pain and also physical pain, of course. So this is what a child is learnt. And of course, fear in this sense is a very good thing because it warns you of danger. But when the fear is coming from another perspective, so the fear that has been instilled in you through narcissistic abuse, fear of your own light, fear of your own strength, fear of moving on with your life, fear of not being able to live without the abuser in your life. This is all learnt behavior. It has nothing to do with your natural state of being. So in order to overcome that fear, we have to walk through the fear. And when you walk through the fear, you are standing in your courage. Because, when you are in fear, you make up all these scenes in your head. You think in pictures, so to speak. So you create all these huge scenes in your head that add to your fear. So whatever you focus on grows. If you focus on your fear, that is going to grow. And by making things larger than life, by blowing up this picture in your mind, that is when you can go into that freeze response, the flight response, or the fight response, where you are resisting the fear. You don't want to go there. That is what resistance of fear really is. You know the fear is there, but you don't want to go there. You don't want to confront it. So again, when you step through your fear, you are actually standing in your courage. And courage is something that we need when we have ended the relationship. It takes courage to end the toxic relationship anyway. But also when you have been discarded by the abuser in your life, it takes courage to deal with that level of pain, to work through the pain, and to come out on the other side stronger and more confident and better than before. So again, bringing up the Dr. Maya Angelou quote is that without that courage, we cannot practice any other virtue consistently. So I have a few tips on how to build that fear muscle, because, or I'm sorry, not the fear muscle. We all know how to build that fear muscle. It's just by focusing on it, but how to build your courage muscle. Because it is a muscle, it can be trained. It's like going to work out at the gym. If you go once a week, you cannot expect a killer body within 4 months. It's something that has to be consistent. You have to keep training that muscle in order to get strong results. So, I think one of the most important things is being mindful, being present in the present moment, being aware and also acknowledging the things that you are fearful of. So, what would that be? That is a question for you. What are your fears? Can you name them? Can you write them out? Can you look at them? Because when you look at them, you are confronting them. Are you afraid of being alone? Are you afraid of not ever attracting a new partner into your life? Are you afraid financially? What is that fear? And the only way to deal with fear, to dissolve the fear, is to look at it, acknowledge it, and work through that. And that is what takes courage. So as you are dealing with your fear, you are also exercising your muscle of courage. So be mindful. Just be aware of your thoughts. What are you thinking? What are your thoughts terrorizing you? Because this is what we all do. We make up these scenes in our head. We create all these very dark situations in our head for most of the time when we are trying to cope with the feeling of being abandoned, the feeling of leaving the abuser in our lives. We tend to blow up this whole thing in our mind, and we are so terrified of our own thoughts that we choose to become stagnant, that we choose to freeze. So we are our own little terrorists in our head. And, when you become mindful, you can become also aware of these thoughts, and you can actually say to yourself, oh, there I go again. That is another fear-filled thought that I'm having. But is it real? Because in most cases, it isn't real. And just to sidetrack a bit, of course, when you are leaving an abusive narcissistic relationship, and in this case, I'm talking about physical abuse, if you feel that your life is in danger, if you are dealing with a psychopath, then of course, you have to take the right measures in order to make yourself safe first, be secure, have a plan of action before leaving that relationship. Because, of course, if your life is in danger, then you must take every single precaution to keep yourself safe. But if it is an emotionally abusive relationship, then of course there are other ways of keeping yourself safe, removing yourself from that toxic situation. But again, it does not mean that you are physically in danger. It also takes stepping out of your comfort zone. So many times when we leave narcissistic relationships, when we have been discarded, we do not want to step out of that comfort zone. We are very afraid of facing our own fears, looking at our own emotional pain, diving into that pool of dealing with all the emotional trauma, with the terrorizing thoughts, with things we have made up in our minds. And it can be a very frightening time, but it is something that we all have to go through. It is part of the healing process, part of your grieving process as well, to have the courage and step through those fears. So step out of your comfort zone. And yes, it's difficult. You know, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But it takes a lot of courage, and it is also very strengthening when you step out of your comfort zone and do those things that you actually fear. And whatever that may be, it can be something small, it can be something large, but you dissolve that fear by looking at it, acknowledging it, and then choosing to confront it. Another thing is to desensitize your fears, allowing yourself to acknowledge and approach whatever that frightening situation looks like. That is how you desensitize yourself, and you do it with baby steps. You cannot desensitize a huge fear in your mind by just saying, well, that's it, I'm going to stop doing this or stop doing that, and I am going to sort this out in one go. No, that can be too overwhelming at times. So it is very important to take little baby steps when desensitizing your fears, by showing yourself, convincing yourself that there's really nothing to be fearful of. So as I said, it is also about exercising your courage muscle, which I just touched on. And, you know, you also need courage to be your authentic self. This is something that I speak a lot of. This is something that I had to apply in my own life during my own personal journey of healing, was to have that courage to be authentic and to take risks, to develop your wings, because you have to develop your wings as you are falling, as you are free falling, and you don't know where you're going to land, if you're going to land on your feet, if you're going to come out okay. It's all about taking that leap of faith and knowing that when you leave that comfort zone, there's going to come a point where you will have to spread your wings and strengthen them by using them, by flapping them, in order to let yourself soar as opposed to falling. So exercise that courage. You need the courage in order to show up authentically. And when we have been in toxic relationships, we don't have our own identity. When I speak of adult children of narcissistic abuse, when speaking of being involved in a toxic relationship in a romantic sense or in a friendship, then we lose sight of who we are. We don't know who we are anymore. And it is all about getting back to that authentic part of yourself. And that also takes courage and allowing yourself to show up, being very vulnerable, allowing yourself to deal with the fear, deal with your pain, deal with all these terrorizing thoughts that you yourself have placed in your head. And of course, the narcissist, knowing this, will add to that fear. So it is all about taking back your power, because the stronger you get, the more courageous you are, the more authentic you become, the less power the narcissist has in your life. So be aware of your thoughts as well. I think thoughts are a huge thing, because, you know, everything in our life, all our experiences start with a single thought. And when we have that thought, we attach emotion to that, and we attach our traumatized past to that. So we have this whole ball of emotions, thoughts, and the trauma that we have attached. It is a very large emotional energy field that that we need to stop judging, because this is something that we always do. We judge our thoughts, we judge everything we do. We take on the guilt, we take on the blame, we take on the fear. And what is needed to dissolve all of that is strengthening your courage muscle. So do not judge yourself. Stop judging yourself, but do become mindful of what you are thinking and how that relates to your emotions, how that relates to your reactions, your responses, and your actions. And once you become aware of that, then you can take the steps to learn new, to reprogram yourself, to give yourself new thoughts, give yourself nurturing thoughts, uplifting thoughts, positive thoughts. And this is how you can proceed through that whole process of healing and coming out stronger on the other side. Please share your thoughts down here below on courage and what you have done in order to strengthen your courage muscle and how that has had a great impact on your life, if any. And if you are looking for ways of how to build up that courage, then again, I would strongly encourage you to step through that fear and stand in your truth, stand in your courage. So, please all take care of yourselves. Thank you again for watching, and you have all given me a lot of new topics that I will touch on in the coming weeks. Thank you for sharing, continuously sharing, and I truly appreciate it. So, dissolve your fear and take hold of your courage. Speak to you all next time. Bye for now.